sponsored by Lancaster Archery Supply. It's a premium field archery utility for those using hunter or field archery. What we have here is a standard marks card interface from 20 feet out to 35 feet and then 15 yards as we scroll up out to 80 yards, and then we also show the feeder ranges of 30 meters through 90 meters. This is for a standard bow called sample bow. Let's go in and actually set up a bow. So if we click setup, we can select the bow. We're going to create a brand new bow, so we're going to click add, type in the name of a bow. We'll call it test. I'm very creative. We'll put in our peep to pin distance. This is the distance from your peep sight at full draw to the actual reticle or pin on your sight. So let's just say that's 30 inches. Peep to arrow, this is from your peep sight straight down to the center of your arrow. Let's just assume it's 4 inches. Pick a sight, and we're going to go with the Shorelock, typical Shorelock 2024. We're going to go down and put in the specs on our arrow. I'm going to be shooting thin ones for outdoors, so 285 grains on the weight. Diameter is 0.2 inches. And then we need a near and a far marks to use for default. So what I'm going to do for my near mark is I shoot at 20 yards. My near mark is 25.55, and then my far mark is set to 50 yards, and then my far mark there is 37.45, and then I'll say done and say accept. What that has done now is create a new bow for me called test, so I'm just going to select test. It provides us with some feedback as to the setup of the bow. It tells us the arrow speed is 295 feet per second. I'm going to also turn on sounds here, and then we'll see that the clinometer, which we use for doing angle cuts, is not calibrated at this point. So we're going to calibrate the clinometer, so we'll click that. Now we have to turn our phone, so we'll turn the phone, and we're going to hit calibrate. Notice you get some audio feedback to tell you the phone is now calibrated for doing angled cuts later on, and we'll say done. Now we have a set of marks for our new bow called test, and you can see there's the value we put in for 20 yards. It's underlined to show that that is a shot in value, and then here's our value for 50 yards. We also have 3 other marks cards available. We've got a hunter range from 11 all the way out to 70 yards, typical hunter marks. And then for animal, what we did was we did every yardage from 10 yards out to 60 yards in 1 yard increments. And then there's obviously all available, and this gives you 6 yards out to 110 yards. Okay, now here's where Archer's Mark really shines. Let's say I've been shooting and I've got a 40-yard mark that is dead on, striking fives all the way, but it's really 32.75. I can go in here and say edit, put in 32.75, say it's a shot in mark because I really trust it, say done, and then say accept. It says it's going to recalculate some stuff, so I'll click on OK, and what you can see is it recomputed the values from our initial shot in of 20 used by setup out to 50, and it used this 32.75 value, and it pulled the other values appropriately to line up with those. And if we were actually going to all, we could see this expanded even further, okay, where it actually hit every yardage along the way. One other interesting thing is, let's say I'm shooting and I've got a 65. It's okay, and I found through experimentation that 44.6 isn't exactly right. It's really 44.8. I don't trust it entirely. I can just say 44.8. Don't mark it as a shot and say done. Say accept, and what it'll do now is it'll put that one in here as 44.8. So I've got a notation of it, but it's not underlined because I don't trust it 100%, and as such, it not being shot in, it hasn't done any computations on the high end here. Now let's say I'm going up to target and it's at 55 yards and it's an angled target. I can say edit here, and if I know the angle up to the target, let's say it's 12 degrees, I could key it in. And let's say it's actually a downhill target, down, and then say accept. What it will do is it put in a new mark, 38.85, 12 degrees down. And if we actually were to click edit again, that would show us that it's using this 55-yard shot. It really is a 53.2-yard shot when you take into account the fact that you're shooting downhill at 12 yards. Now I could also use the clinometer here, and what they're expecting here is that you turn the phone on its side, you sight down the top edge of the phone, you line it up, and then you press and hold this button, measure the angle, and release it. Okay, and then it will accept that value. Okay, now since I'm doing this on the computer, I can't obviously angle the phone. So we'll accept that. We'll rotate our phone back to normal and accept it, and everything's fine. We'll see that's the value there. So that's a quick experimentation on cut marks. Now what I can also do, and some people have asked this a couple times, is let's say I'm shooting at multiple different venues. I could go into my test bow here and I could say edit. I could then say duplicate the bow. Okay, I've got a second one here. For this one, instead of calling it test, I'll call it test at DCWC, Durham County Wildlife Club, and say done. And now I've essentially got two bows that are test. One's my generic test and one's at a specific course. Now if I go in and this one's selected, I've got the same statistics here, but what I could do now is I could put in specific cut marks and angles for different yardages as I walk the course, so I don't have to compute them every time. One final thing we wanted to show everybody is under setup. If you click setup, you can click print here, and what it will do is it will actually generate a marks card for you, and it will email you the marks card, and that's what it's saying here, is it wants to email you the marks card. So I click yes, it will then bring up a marks card. There's the PDF, and then I put in a to address here and hit send, and off it'll go. I'm going to cancel, it'll take us right back to Archer's Mark. That's a very quick introduction to Archer's Mark. We also have a help facility. We've got an info button that shows you, again, that we're sponsored by Lancaster Archery Supply. You can click on their website, and that will take you to their website if you're interested in more about Lancaster. That's an introduction to Archer's Mark. Thank you very much for your time.